Hi guys, it's Shannon from Audio Energy here, and I finished the last video. We had it in between. I had to make it a bit shorter. So you've seen the first half, which is recording stereo mic setups part 1. This is part 2 now, and I'm going to continue on. Now, what I'll do, I might just talk first about this, where we're up to, but I'll start my screen recorder as well, and we'll get going here. 1, 2, 3, record. Now, we were looking at our space pair left and right, and basically for each of these in the last video we've made both the left and right equally balanced. The reason for this is because it's just the guitar on its own. Okay, essentially if it was a group, and this is what we were talking about before, if you were recording a group and you only had 2 microphones, you could use an octave, you could use a space pair. If you use XY, it would probably be too small a field to try and record that group unless you get in really close. So having the broader fields there will help with groups and so forth. You'd probably actually prefer to do it with a larger number of microphones, maybe 6 or something like that. You'd have spot mics, you'd have all sorts of things going on. But if you only had 2, that's how you do it. Seeing as this is one performer, and we got a space pair, it's a good idea to just equalize or balance the acoustic level of left and right channels so they're about as equal as you can get. And you will notice that there's a fair bit of difference here. Like in this one, it's 2.8 on the right, or negative 2.8, and 3.5 on this side. So all up, you have a difference of what's that, about almost 5 dB difference, which is quite a lot. And the other one we see almost 8 dB difference. So you can see that having a space pair, the fields are acting a different way to they're acting in the octave. Okay, in the octave, because they're way away from each other, that's actually almost 8 dB of difference between those, the left and right in energy. Okay, whereas the space pair or the AB formation, there's only about a 5 dB difference because they're pointed like this, but there is a distance between them. Compared to the XY, they're sitting right on top of each other, it's equal. Okay, so that's why those differences in left and right channel levels are happening, because it's the formation and the configuration of each of those microphones being like this and like this. There is another one that is really good, but it requires a different type of setup, and I might go into that at another time. It's called mid-side, and it's a really good way to do things too. Anyway, so let's have a look. We were looking at our spatial field, and what I might quickly do first is let's have a bit of a look. I'll bring these to the center, and I'm going to solo these. So we're doing our space pair. Okay, I'm going to run these. There we are. Now you can actually put your positioning for each pan hard to each side, or you can put it anywhere in the field. I'm going to play with these a little bit, just for about half a minute, and you can see what they sound like. So there you see, we're taking full advantage of the field when we're going hard left and right. Always be aware though that when you're moving from the center position to a hard left, there's a reduction of 3 dB. Okay, 3 dB SPL if you want to get technical. Reason being is because the energy of that is moving off center and towards one side. It's not properly balanced across the field. So that's a simple way of putting it. I could go into more complex ways, but that's all you need to know. It's not important, just know that there's a 3 dB decrease when you move from center to hard left or hard right. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to spread all these out, and we're going to have a bit of a listen to each one, and that way you can see what you like better out of each of these. So here's XY. There we are. these two. So there you go, that's X, Y. Now let's play the octave and have a listen to that. They're all full spread. Let's play these ones. That's octave. And here's our SP, space pair. Here's what they sound fully spread. So hearing those, you should be able to actually hear a bit of a difference between each field setup. We'll call it that, field setup. In the positioning between X, Y, where they're sitting on top of each other. You'll probably notice that the recording in this is actually very close. You're not getting a lot of boom sound. It's sounding pretty tight, but it does have a lot of fullness there. Octave is actually naturally a bit wider, sounds a bit wider. Still sounds quite close. But you'll probably hear a little bit more of the left hand moving on the guitar, which is kind of a benefit of that. It really picks up a lot of dimensions of what's happening on the body as well as the actual music itself, but it's picking up the way the artist plays the instrument. And then you have your space pair. This is very similar to octave in some ways, that you're going to hear a lot of the hands moving across the strings and things like that. Very nice sound. But you're hearing a bit more of the room, I think, for me, in this one here, which is very interesting. You're getting a bit more of the environment around you, and I can tell you each recording was done at the same distance. So that's very interesting there, so I hope that's helped. I'm going to get on to this next section now, and I'm going to choose the XY for this because it is a bit tighter. So we're going to now create two buses for this, and buses are auxiliary channels that you can use to put effects on and things like that. So you have your natural two running channels. These two are running straight to my output. I have some EQ, some compression, and a spectral analyzer that I'll show you later. I've turned them off at the moment, but this is running through. Essentially, I hardly ever put anything on here except a limiter, but because I don't feel like putting extra channels in for this this particular video, I'll be going into more of that later. But for now, let's create two stereo auxiliary channels, and we're going to pop them in the middle next to these ones here. Okay, I'm going to make them a similar color so we know that they're still with the XP. Alright, I'm going to call this one EQ. EQ, not IQ. And I'll call the next one reverb. Okay, so we have reverb and we have EQ. Now, there's a couple of different ways that you can send the signal, and the way I like to do it is we'll go to our EQ, we'll go to bus, and we'll choose this one here. Okay, and then we'll go, should be up here, bus 1, 2. Okay, this is going to our output. So the bottom goes to output and the top is our input. So it's going to come from here to here. Okay, this one is going to be bus 3, 4. Okay, and again going to the stereo channel. Now, this is my left channel. I want to send this to bus 1. And I'm going to send this to bus 2. Okay, so that way I have my right channel going to the right, my left channel going to the left. Now, you can actually do it the other way. You can send them to 1, 2, which is probably better for the mix. Okay, but what that's doing is, if I do it, it's actually sort of sending everything, sending one channel to both sides. Okay, so right to this side, left to that side. Here we go. I'm going to put an EQ on here. I've probably confused you with what I'm doing, but don't worry too much at the moment, okay? Now, let's look at our EQ. Let's do this quickly. Alright, so we're going to, let's go over. We're going to go to our beginning of our channel, our music. Now you can hear it's pretty muddy, so I'm immediately going to roll off. Make that a bit steeper, so we have a pretty steep decline. We can go up to about 60. I'd probably put it around, say, 40, 45. 40, that's 45, yeah. Just to get started. Okay. Now, let's work on this bass here. We want to increase our bass just a little bit. And now I'll explain to you a couple of quick things. If you don't know much about EQs, this is our gain. This is going to make it loud, soft, etc., etc. This is what's called Q. Q actually controls the bandwidth that you're working within that frequency range, okay? So my frequency is about 100, so if I put it up here, you'll see that I can make it wider or really, really tight. It's not working too well with the lower bass one, but that's okay. So I don't want a lot of extra bass there, so I'm just going to pump that up to about there. Now, there's a range in here, usually between about 140 to about 300, that can get a little bit muddy for guitar. And what I'm going to do is, we'll go back to the screen here, and this is where your spectrum analyzer comes in handy, okay? And I'm going to put that up as well. So when you play the music, this is giving you a readout on all the frequencies there. And you can actually find a frequency that might be an annoying, muddy sort of area. And so you can see we've rolled off the lower end here. It's down next 70. The hearing range that we're really starting to hear things in is up around here. So it's a little muddy. So watch what happens when I do this. You've seen a big boost in this area. I'm going to tighten that Q up. Now I'm going to pull that down by about 3 dB. Go to the next one. And I can play with this range here. Let's get rid of this. I can play with my range while I'm listening. There, it's getting a little boxy, you can hear that. Really bad, terrible area. So we're going to pull that down a little bit. We don't really want a lot of that in there. Come on to the next one. I'm going to spread that out a bit, make it a little bit wider so it's capturing a bit more of that and bring it down. It's really, you can't take too much away, but you can't add too much in. So the point of EQ is that you don't want to change this natural sound of something. You don't want to remove its coloration. You just want to kind of take away some of those bits that make it a little bit muddy and hard to hear, and give it a little bit more brightness and things like that too. But you want to keep that natural sound, yeah? Now it needs a little bit more for my ears. A little bit sharpness. You can change the style, whether you want it to peak or whether you want a shelf. So I want that pretty flat. Okay, so what we're hearing now, I can actually remove this now. We don't need that. So both of these are going through these channels it's been recorded in. It's going to my bus and my EQ and running through here to my output. Okay. Now we're going to put on our reverb, and it's going to come from here. So I have to go to these, and you'll notice that these are right down. So we have to turn these on, yeah. And we want to go to, there's a little button here that says pre, okay? What that means is that the signal is coming down and we're taking a portion of that signal and sending it to this channel, sending it here. So it's actually bypassing these and going raw straight to there, okay? Now, another option to do is that we could put a send here, which might actually be a little better. So what I might do is remove these. I just want to put them there so I can show you how they do it. What we want to do is capture the sound that's being EQ'd and then send that to the reverb, because we don't want this muddy, dirty sound here. We want a cleaner sound. So go here. Now this is a stereo channel, and we're just going to put a bus in. Okay. The reason it's highlighted because we've already selected this. Now we're having both channels which have been EQ'd. We're taking a portion of that and sending it to the reverb back up here, and it goes down and out. Okay. So the benefit of this is that you can increase and decrease the amount of reverb that you hear. So you can set the reverb, which we're going to do here now. So I've got my setting, the decay. That means how long the tails are that it's going to be moving around our simulated acoustic environment of reverb. I hope that makes sense. We've got a plate reverb. It's a certain type of reverb. It's going to give us a certain type of effect. I'm going to turn this up a little bit so I can hear it. We also have other types as well. You have a high frequency cut or roll-offs, and that means everything above 13.5 is being toned down. It's being rolled off, like on our EQ. So everything above this level, technically on our delay here, on our deverb, would look like this, right down to 13, about there. So you've got this rolling off type of effect naturally occurring, but I don't want that on here. But it is occurring in here, and you have a low pass filter as well. Diffusion, that's about how the overall sound itself is being reflected within the room. We have our full wet effect, so we want the full wet effect in, and I can actually control how much reverb's coming in by increasing and decreasing the general level, the gain, okay? So that's what's going on. I hope that makes sense, but we will go into this a lot more when I do some more videos on it. Okay, so it's going up into here and down through, okay? Let's have a listen to how it sounds with the reverb. Let's increase that reverb. So there you go. Next we're going to come over to here and we're going to turn on our supercharger. I don't have my slate effects running at the moment, unfortunately. I'm going to move the supercharger above, and so it's coming in, it's going to be compressed. This is a compressor. Okay, I'm running it at about 3 dB. Okay, sorry, 3:1 ratio. Sorry, and I'll explain compressors in another lesson. But for now, giving you a little bit of punch. We've got our dB output matching the compression rate. Okay, so however much we're squashing it down by is we've got to bring that back up. Okay, that's what's happening. Now, this supercharger is from Native Instruments, and it's a really nice, clean one. It's pretty good. So let's have a listen now. So I'm going to boost this a little bit. Okay, so there's basically a rough setup. What I've done here with the EQ is basically just little movements here and there. Because I've already EQ'd everything, I just want to sort of bring in or out any little bit extra brightness, remove any extra resonance and things, and just give it a little bit of spark. And that's all I've really done there. I have my compressor as well, and away she goes. Okay, so if we go back here, you can see the compressor working. And so there you go, and you see that it's coming up around 12 to 14, negative 12 to 14 dB, which is a great range. It's ready to be go out and mastered if I didn't want to do anything else to it. But look, that's the end of the lesson here. It's getting quite long again. I'm trying to keep these things short, but it takes a bit of time. So that's it for this week. That's it for recording mics in stereo formation. My name's Shannon from Audio Energy. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, like on my Facebook, get the ratings up there and share it around. Check out Steam, check it all out. I'm everywhere. Have a good one. See you next time.